news broke on a quiet morning. A drone video leaked online, footage of the Sakura tree, isolated and luminous, surrounded by construction flags and steel markers. The caption read, "Future Sakura Resort, where tradition meets luxury." Hana stood frozen in the family living room, her father coughing quietly in the next room. Her hands trembled as she read the article. It had begun. The betrayal, the exploitation, the slow suffocation of everything she had protected. The door slid open. Tatsuya stood there in his tailored suit, perfectly composed. "I warned you this would happen, Hana. You should have trusted me. With my investors, the garden can evolve, be something greater than old bark and fading blossoms." Hana's jaw clenched. "You're destroying it. You're not saving anything." "Spare me the sentimentality," he scoffed. "Your father signed the preliminary lease this morning. Once the permits are finalized, this entire property will be mine, and you'll be my wife. It's the only way to ensure your family's legacy survives." She stared at him in horror. "You manipulated him while he was ill." She stared at him in horror. "You manipulated him while he was ill." He shrugged. "Business is about timing." Before Hana could respond, Ethan appeared at the doorway, out of breath. "Don't listen to him," he said, voice sharp with urgency. "I spoke to a lawyer. That contract isn't legal. Your father's signature while medicated won't hold in court." Tatsuya's eyes narrowed. "You again? Still playing knight in shining armor, I see." Ethan stepped forward undeterred. "No, I'm standing with her because she's not alone anymore. You can't silence this story. We've already sent it to environmental watchdogs and cultural preservation groups. Journalists are on their way." Tatsuya turned to Hana. "If you go through with this, your name will be dragged through the mud. Your family's honor will shatter. Are you ready for that?" Hana stood tall, trembling but resolute. "I'd rather stand in ruins than bloom under a lie." She turned to Ethan, eyes full of quiet strength. "Let's show them what this place really means." That night, under the cherry blossom sky, the community gathered. Neighbors, artists, students, elders, all drawn by the beauty of the fading tree and the truth it stood for. Ethan's photos lined the garden path, telling a silent story of love, loss, and resistance. At the end of the trail, the Sakura stood, petals fluttering like a breath of life against the darkened sky. Hana stepped forward and spoke, not just for herself, but for generations past and future. "This tree doesn't belong to the highest bidder. It belongs to the people who loved it, lived under its shade, and grew alongside it. You can't sell a soul rooted in memory." And when the first tear fell from her father's eyes as he looked upon the garden he had almost lost, Hana knew the fight had been worth it. The air was thick with anticipation as Hana stepped onto the small stage in front of the town's community center. Rows of neighbors, friends, and even distant visitors gathered, some out of curiosity, others out of genuine concern. Behind Hana stood a large print of the Sakura tree, captured in all its twilight glory. She took a deep breath, her hands slightly trembling around the microphone. "For generations, the Takahashi garden has been a symbol of quiet resilience," she began. "But traditions can't survive on silence alone." Gasps rippled through the crowd as she revealed the truth. The garden's decline, the Sakura's struggle against the effects of pollution, and the greed that almost destroyed it all. "I was supposed to marry someone who promised to save this garden. But love built on control isn't love at all. And this garden doesn't need saving through deals. It needs hands, hearts, and roots." Her voice gained strength. "I'm inviting all of you to help us revive it. Not just this tree, but our entire community. Let's plant new life together. Let's show that even the most fragile blooms can survive if we choose to nurture them." Applause thundered. Some cried, Most smiled. That day, she stepped away from the shadow of expectation and into the light of her own choice. 1 month later in Kyoto, the gallery buzzed with energy. The Last Bloom, Ethan's first solo exhibition, displayed hauntingly beautiful photographs of the Yozakura through all its phases, budding, full bloom wilting under acid rain, and finally, rising again after the storm. Visitors stood in awe, reading the captions written in both English and Japanese. At the center of the room was a photo of Hana under the moonlight, her eyes closed, framed by falling petals. It was titled "Still She Stands." Every yen earned that night was donated to the Takahashi Garden Restoration Project. After the exhibit closed, Ethan found Hana waiting for him under a small cherry tree just outside the gallery. He handed her a carefully wrapped box. She opened it slowly, revealing the camera she had once restored for him, now with a soft lavender strap and a small note tucked inside. "Now it's yours to capture new beginnings." Tears welled in her eyes as she looked up at him. "You're not leaving tonight, are you?" Ethan smiled. "Not until I get one more photo of you." She lifted the camera, pointed it at him. "Then let's take it together." As the shutter clicked, petals from the tree above drifted down between them, like a silent blessing. Not an end, just a new chapter. Spring came quietly that year. The cherry blossoms bloomed late, as if hesitant, unsure of whether the world would still be kind. But bloom they did, softly, defiantly, under skies that had once threatened to silence them. Ethan's visa had been extended temporarily, thanks to the media attention surrounding the garden's preservation. Cultural organizations had stepped in, and the Takahashi garden was now under protection as a heritage site. Investors withdrew. Tatsuya faded into silence, his plans uprooted. But the battle left scars. Hana wandered the garden in early morning mist, running her fingers along the aged bark of the Yozakura tree. Its blossoms had returned, paler than before but still beautiful, still holding on, just like her. She heard footsteps. "I thought you'd be out here," Ethan said, camera slung over his shoulder. "You always are when the world's quiet." She turned to him, smiling faintly. "It's strange. I always thought I needed to save the tree, but maybe it was saving me all along." He stepped closer. "You saved each other." They stood in silence, watching petals fall in slow spirals. The wind was gentle now, no longer a threat, but a promise. "I leave next week," Ethan said softly. "For real this time?" Hana nodded. "I know. I thought about staying," he admitted. "But then I realized this place doesn't need me to stay. It just needed me to show up when it mattered." She reached into her sleeve, pulling out a small, cloth-wrapped bundle. "I was going to give this to you at the airport, but here." A fresh cherry blossom seed. Hana handed it over to Ethan with a sweet but bitter smile. He looked at her, overwhelmed. "Start something new," she whispered. "Wherever you go." He stepped forward, wrapping his arms around her. Not as a goodbye, but as a thank you. A bridge, a home that would always be under the same sky. As he pulled back, she smiled. "You'll miss the blossoms," he chuckled. "Maybe, but I'll bring one with me." He pointed at his chest, where a single Yozakura petal clung to his jacket. A few years later, the petals danced in the breeze like whispered memories. Hana stood beneath the blooming Sakura, camera in hand, the same analog one Ethan had once placed gently into her palms. Time had softened its edges, but not its meaning. Click! She captured the morning mist kissing the petals. Click! A child chasing blossoms with laughter. Click! An empty bench beneath the tree they once sat under. As she moved to take another photo, the camera stuttered, just for a second. Through the viewfinder, she saw a figure standing in the distance, partially blurred but unmistakably familiar. Hana lowered the camera. Her breath caught. Ethan? He stood beneath the Yozakura, just as he did that first night, but this time in full daylight, smiling, real. She didn't think, she ran. The camera fell to her side as her arms wrapped around him, the scent of travel and spring rain clinging to his coat. She buried her face against his chest, tears dampening the fabric. "You came back," she whispered. "I had to," he said, his voice low and steady. Then from his coat pocket, he pulled out a small linen pouch. Inside it were seeds, tiny, dry, yet full of life. "The seeds you gave me," he said. "I couldn't plant them in California. I tried, but they wouldn't grow. Maybe the soil, maybe the sky, or maybe..." He looked at her, eyes shimmering. Maybe beauty like this only blooms in the place it belongs." He gently pressed the pouch into her hands. "You make it beautiful, Hana. It's always been you." Under the cherry blossom sky, the past and future blurred. And for the first time in a long time, Hana knew this was not an ending. It was the beginning of 1,000 new springs.